Welcome to your Get That Nugget for GCSE English Literature. Today we're going to be concentrating on giving you a framework to structure your paragraphs for the English literature essays, specifically today focusing on Jekyll and Hyde. This session is to complement your lessons with your teachers and not to replace them in any way. So Hyde is obviously a key character in the novella Jekyll and Hyde, and we're going to look at how he is presented throughout the text. He is not a character that changes at all, so we are simply looking at his representation. When we are presented to him early on, he is described as dwarfish. So we're going to unpick this in terms of our assessment objectives. So we're going to start with AO1. So Hyde is presented as undersized and unnatural. So if we start to unpick the use of the word dwarfish, we associate it with the supernatural, okay? Supernatural not necessarily just meaning ghosts, supernatural also meaning otherworldly. So smaller, shorter, which suggests underdeveloped. And then when we link this to AO3, we're going to look at the fact that Hyde is therefore presented as not human, but supernatural in some way. The fact that he is underdeveloped links to the idea of evolution and the idea he is not fully evolved because he is not a complete human, and because he has not been allowed to experience life in the same way, because he has been hidden or repressed by Jekyll for such a long time. We're then going to move on to chapter 4, and when we're looking at Hyde, this is where the majority of our quotations are going to come from. And the first one we're going to look at is broke out of all bounds. So before he attacks Carew, we are to believe that he is within bounds. At that attack, he breaks out of all bounds. So Hyde is presented as dangerous and uncontrollable. So we're going to look at this. This metaphor suggests several things. So one, there is something is broken. If something is broken, it's unfixable. So there is no going back from this point. The second one is that he's breaking out of something, and those bounds are essentially the boundaries of society. And by that, he has broken the rules. So his rudeness, the fact that he can't go back on it, the fact that he's battered someone to death, means that he is no longer within the expectations of society. He is no longer accepted. And up until this point, whilst Jekyll has used Hyde in order to experience things he wants to, at this point there is no going back at all. And it is the rules of society that were governing him. It is the rules of society that say you don't kill people, and it is that he is broken out of. So again, rules of society, which are based on the Bible. It is what makes you a gentleman. Without those things, shows that he's uncontrollable because society cannot control him, therefore not a gentleman, therefore it is broken. And that links to the idea that Hyde is himself broken. He is not normal, he should not really exist, and he's finally broken out of those bounds of society that shouldn't ever have been there to hold him in the first place. Within the same chapter, he is described as having ape-like fury. So we are talking about Hyde being presented as animalistic and uncontrollable again. This simile compares him to an animal. There is anger, there is violence, fury suggests something that cannot be controlled in any way. But the focus of this is going to be on your AO3, because the use of the word ape is going to link him to Darwin's theory. It's going to link him to savagery. If he is an animal, then he's not human, he is superhuman, but also he is unevolved. And so throughout, when we're looking at the representation of Hyde, we are looking at the fact that he is never presented as being human. He is always superhuman or subhuman, supernatural or unnatural. And then if we have a look at how we would write our paragraph based on this quotation, we're going to start with the fact that Hyde is presented as animalistic and uncontrollable. That is AO1 done. That is our response to the text and our response to the question. Stevenson uses the simile ape-like fury to show the extent of his rage and violence. By saying it is ape-like, he is likening Hyde to a wild animal, suggesting that he can't be tamed. Furthermore, this links to Darwin's theory of evolution, suggesting that Hyde is not fully evolved and therefore not human. Okay, so again, you have your AO1, response to the text and the question, AO2, that analysis of the writer's craft, and then AO3, the context, but being really clear that the context has to link directly to what Stevenson is doing rather than just a tag on. Okay, so using the 3 quotations that we have looked at, you need to answer the question, how is Hyde presented?